So I am so excited today to be able to sit and talk with my father-in-law, John Hess, and he is truly the man behind CompuCycle. And I wanted everyone in the community to get to know John and where CompuCycle started. And so he's here with us today. And John, just kind of want to know what happened. Who is John Hess? I know you immigrated from South Africa. I want you to tell that story. But how did CompuCycle happen?
Okay, I came in from South Africa in 1986 and began by running a business that was distributing copper and brass bars and sheets and tubes. And at that time, I started a scrap metal business alongside that business, dealing in products that had precious metal content. And of course, computer scrap was part of it. And it developed into CompuCycle. In 1991, we started CompuCycle, so it's been going for a long time. And then I was fortunate enough not only to have a son who came into the business with me, but a daughter-in-law who is particularly capable and particularly lovely and smart and so on.
Oh, man.
And she became our CEO, and we delightfully have grown very, very well since Kelly and Clive have taken charge of the business.
And Johnny, what were some of, when you started CompuCycle, what was it though that made you really start with trying to reuse material?
Having been in the scrap metal business for many, many years, more years than I care to remember, the most viable thing to do with any scrap that one gets is to try and recover usable parts. And of course, in the computer business, it's become a big aspect of our business. The scrap has become somewhat secondary to the product end of our business. And it's just been the kind of thing that we have tried to develop because it makes so much sense to reuse rather than to have to scrap materials. But CompuCycle has gone the route of setting up scrap processing abilities that are really the most spectacular in the industry, in that there's very little that leaves our facility that hasn't been processed and hasn't been made into either a reusable item or a recyclable item.
Gotcha. And tell me kind of when you started, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced? I know immigration had to be challenging in itself, but what were some of the biggest challenges starting CompuCycle?
Well, it's interesting because I came here having run a fairly successful business in South Africa and was probably too cocky in terms of thinking that I could introduce my abilities and that my abilities would work in the United States as well as they worked in South Africa. But I soon found out that things are a little different here, and one had to acclimate to the new way of doing business, and eventually found the right kind of partners and customers and associates. And so getting to understand the way America did their business as opposed to the way we did ours in South Africa was my biggest challenge.
And how about now? Tell me about what do you feel has been your biggest achievement with CompuCycle?
I think my biggest achievement is having a son and daughter-in-law who are really competent, who have been able to take over the business and do it so well.
Well, we're the lucky ones because truly CompuCycle would not be here without you. And I think in the sense of what we've been able to do, not only for, we've grown for our family, but also for our Houston community itself. what we've been able to do and the amount of electronics that we've been able to divert from landfills, and really protecting our environment and working with so many customers, here locally as well as nationally, and giving them a responsible solution. So like the impact that you've made with this business in taking care of our environment is also really huge, that I would, hope you're proud of, because it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. I'm truly proud of what you guys have done with the business. When I look at what it was like 10 years ago when I was still responsible for it, and I look at it now, the growth and what you guys have done is really spectacular. And by all means, I do take credit for having started the business, but the development of it is hats off to you guys.
Well, you're not giving yourself, though, enough credit, because you are here absolutely every day of the week, putting in your long days and still helping us so much on the scrap side of the business, and our consultant, and always here for us. So, I mean, in the sense that you don't give yourself enough credit for what you still bring to this company every day.
I guess at my age, it's an absolute joy to be able to go somewhere where there still is some appreciation for me, and I still feel that I can do some constructive business, and I enjoy that thoroughly, and I'm just happy as can be to work with you guys.
Well, it's our pleasure and our honor, truly. But I would love to get, what's your thought about family business and how we've kind of created over the years?
A family business.
Did you think it would be a family business for the long term?
It was hard to say, because the business has developed so well, but ultimately, I guess, if one wants to go to a next level, one has to step outside of the family, because there are not enough of us in the family. And certainly with the group that you have got around you and working with you, there's room for internal growth, but to really get to the next step will require working outside of the family.
Yes. And I think that's also, too, where we've been able to scale the business in a way by bringing so many great people to our management team and production, where it's crazy to say that we become too efficient. We need more material, because we really have become so efficient in our processes.
Yeah, well, when I walk around the plant and I see everybody busy, it's actually it's an interesting observation, because good businesses, you just do find busy workers and people not standing around having chats to one another and so on. And that is exactly what I find in CompuCycle, that the workers are all doing constructive stuff, and it's really impressive.
No, absolutely. And did you ever think, though, when you started CompuCycle, that we'd be the type of company or size of company that we are?
Oh yeah, I thought it would grow. I thought that I'm obviously, as I've said many times, I'm impressed with what has happened, but I did think that it would move forward as it has done, and it's really good. I think our relationship with our suppliers and our customers is excellent, and CompuCycle has a great reputation because they do a great job.
Yeah. Were there any obstacles when you first started CompuCycle that you were worried about, like in the sense of, would you be able to grow the business?
I think that, as it has moved ahead, I've seen really good activity, and I think that what has happened, I'd hoped would happen, and it has happened, and I'm just delighted with how it's progressed.
Okay, so here's a question for you. If you could go back to your 40s when you immigrated, would there be anything else that you wish you would have tried doing besides CompuCycle? Or did you always have that enjoyment with scrap and reuse and all that type of thing? Would there be any other type of job you wish you would have tried, or?
You know, I've been in business for 60 years now.
60 years.
And all I've ever done is metals business, scrap and ingot production and warehousing and distribution and processing of materials, and I've really not ever done anything else. So I've never thought of, should I have done this or could I have done that, because what I've done has been rewarding and has been enjoyable.
That's great.
I've been very happy with what has happened, and I can't say that there's anything else I'd like to have done.
That's amazing. But what about maybe some advice? What advice would you give to your entrepreneurial self? If looking back, what would you tell yourself?
What would I have done differently?
Well, not necessarily differently. What advice would you give? If there was an entrepreneur watching this today, what advice would you give them after being in business for 60 years doing this? What would you say?
Well, essentially, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. If you feel that what you're doing is a chore and is an excessive strain, or you don't feel that you're being reasonably rewarded, then you're in the wrong thing, and you should really question where you're at and what you'd really like to be doing. But I guess I was lucky because my father was in the metals business, and I sort of got into it through him, and then started my own business at the age of 23,
wow,
which was pretty young, and made a few very glaring errors, and you know, as I became more experienced, I realized what I was doing wrong and what I needed to do, and it's worked out very, very well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I guess my last question would be is, looking down the line 10 years from now, what would you like to see CompuCycle? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you and Clive have two incredibly capable daughters, and the possibility of one or both of them getting into this business is something that might happen. But their education seems to be really moving ahead incredibly, and they might well want to be in something else, whatever they choose. Certainly, I wouldn't argue with, but if one of them could come into the business, it would be absolutely delightful. But so that's something of a wish that I have.
No, I think that's great. Well, because, there's no doubt that with family business, there's always, there's challenges from a personal side and professional side, and where do you leave your work at work, or do you take it home? And I know that we've had our own, family dinners where we have to, it's probably now me driving you crazy talking about work, but I know it's important to have a separation. But I also just want you to know how appreciative everyone, myself, Clive, of course our daughters too, for our livelihood, but the employees here, how much you're respected and how much you're loved by everybody here. And I think the respect that you have, I don't even know if you realize it, but when people know and meet John Hess, who started CompuCycle, they really are proud to work for a company that you started, and you should be so proud of what you've been able to create.
I am incredibly proud, but I look at it much more as what you guys are creating and what the rest of the team is doing, because the one most outstanding thing that you've done is have employed a group of people who are outstanding. We really have wonderful people, from the bottom to the top. It's all lovely people, and that's, I think, is what business is all about. It's the team that counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Carol.
no, this was great. I'm so glad, and just hope people can now realize what CompuCycle is about, where we came from, where we're going, and I'm excited.
Good. Love you, and
I love you.
keep it up.
All right. Thank you.